I'm sure all of us have an auntie or an uncle, or some of us have multiple family members or even friends that are a little bit older than us. I'm an 80s baby, but I didn't grow up in the 80s. I didn't enjoy my teens and my 20s in the 80s. And all of them say, growing up in the 80s was so cool, it was the best. I give you that. But on today's episode, I'm going to present a case as a lawyer why this, right now, is the best time to be growing up. I hope you enjoy the episode, and I hope you agree with me at the end of my case. Let's get into it. The conversation always starts the same way. Back in the 80s, we could walk in the streets. Back in the 80s, when we all sat around the table, we looked each other in the eyes because there was no social media, there was no Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and all these other apps that we constantly are addicted to these days. Back in the 80s, we could afford fuel and we had electricity. Advancement in technology. Today, we have the internet, we have smartphones, and we've got advanced technologies that make our lives a lot easier than they were back in the 80s. Because healthcare has improved so much, we are able to take better vitamins, take better care of ourselves, feel younger, look younger. Today's 60 is the 80s, 40s. So healthcare is a big reason why I believe it's better to live today than in the 80s. Social and political progress. A lot more people are open-minded about multiple subjects. So it isn't, this way of thinking only. And if it's not this way, it's wrong. A lot of people have eased up on the ideology that they came up with. So they are more open-minded to different forms and different styles that people live in. Increased life expectancy. So I think that's a major, major positive. Because healthcare has improved, our life expectancy has improved as well. We can do better surgeries. We can predict stuff before they happen. We can intervene while stuff is happening and prolong your life. Recently, we had a family member with a blood clot, started feeling unhealthy, went in, did a couple of tests, got blood thinners, boom, 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 couple of days later, sorted out. Greater access to information. Everybody's got a smartphone today. Almost everywhere you go, you've got free Wi-Fi. There is so much free educational tools, apps, and content that you can go and access right at your fingertips. Better transportation. Today, we've got access to cars, Uber, buses, trains, airplanes. It's a small planet if you think about it. You can go get a visa, hop on an airplane and be in the United States in a couple of hours. When you wake up, you're in London. The access to that is a lot easier as well. It's still expensive, but it's a lot easier than it was in the 80s. Increased standard of living. As improvement and as cities grow, your standard of living also grows. There's a lot less people that live in rural areas that have got no access to water, no access to electricity. So living today has definitely increased the standard of living back in the 80s. Greater environmental awareness. If you look at the projects and the efforts that from governments to big corporates are getting involved in cleaning up the oceans, cleaning up the plastics, cleaning up our forests, conservation, having certain demarcated areas where you're not allowed to chop wood, where you're not allowed to fish, it's definitely improved. More opportunities for women. If you think about it, back in the 80s, a lot of the countries didn't even allow women to vote. They didn't allow women to drive. They didn't allow women to go to school in most countries, where today, that's improved tremendously. And I think that's a big one for humanity. And lastly, greater cultural diversity. Now, back in the 80s, especially in our country, we were all divided and we couldn't learn from each other. We couldn't experience each other's cultures, each other's languages, each other's foods. Now we can. We all live together. If I look at our company only, we've got people that are Indian, colored people, white, European. We've got Asian people, we've got black people, we've got the Zulu community, we've got the Sotho, the Setswana. It's amazing. And we can get to learn from all of them. So if I've presented a case and it makes sense, please vote for me. please say, yes, we agree with you, not with that old or young auntie or uncle that is keeping on pushing the 80s down our throat. If you agree, please leave us a comment, hit the like button, and do subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much. Take care and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.